Hey guys, Becky here, FiveTwoBaker. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making 3 different types of succulents, and they're going to be so small, so cute, so easy to make because you don't need any tools, and they're going to be pink because apparently pink succulents are a thing, and so why not make them? We're going to be making one that I think is called the jelly bean, one that I think is called a lally, and then one that's kind of like the two combined called moonstone. We'll need gloves, our pink flower paste, some white wires cut to size, some floral tape, a light green, light pink, fuchsia pink, and white color dust, a brush to brush all that dust, and then you might need some edible glue with a brush to apply, and some cornstarch with a brush to apply. We're going to start with our jelly bean succulent, so just grab some of your pink paste, you roll it between your hands, and then you're going to want to roll it into a hot dog shape and taper off both ends. Leave it a little chunky in the middle, and then press down on the tip so it's not so blunt. Put a wire through it, pinch it on the end, and once you smooth out the sides a bit more, you're all done. You just stand it up to dry. Super easy. We'll do that one more time. You just grab a chunk, roll it, taper each end, soften the tip a little bit, put a wire in it, and go ahead and make as many of these as you like. Next, we'll move on to our lally. So hook your wire, grab a tiny little bit of paste, put it onto that hook, press it down, pinch it off, and then form a little diamond shape. Put that diamond shape on the tip of your finger and press down on each of the sides to smooth them a bit and to give it a little bit of a hollow interior. Press it down from the top, and that's it. Now for the next few leaves, you'll do the same process, but you won't use a wire because they're small enough that they'll just stick to this first wire. You just form the shape that you want, press it down on the bottom a bit more than on the first one so that you have something to stick to the first wire, and then you form it around. And for these, you want to have maybe about 3 per row clustered, and you go with the same process as far as you can until you feel that the succulent leaves are getting a little too heavy. Then you stop there and you hang it upside down to dry. So again, I like to put it on the tip of my fingers so I get that hollowed inside and that hump on the back. And don't forget to press down with your fingertips on the edges so that there is a soft edge. Once you have your first row of 3, the next row will go in between the last 3 that you did, and so on and so on. Again, with each leaf being slightly larger than the last. Now when we do it on the wire, it's the same thing. You just hook the wire, same as the first one, put it in, form that diamond shape, press it on to the tip of your finger to get that hollow inside, and then press down the top a little. And that's it. It looks just like the first one, except it's larger. And you set that up to dry. You do that as many times as you like, however large you want your succulent to be. And remember to hook your wire because the succulent leaves are going to be a little heavy, so you don't want them to spin on the wire. The hook will help it to not spin. See, it has a little bit of an arched back. It's almost like the tummy is sucked in from the front and it's hovered over. It's hunched over a bit. Last, we'll be making our moonstone. So just like the last one, grab a piece of paste, tiny, bend over your wire. You're gonna put the paste over that hook. Taper it towards the bottom, roll it out, and you're going to want it to look sort of like a teardrop, with the very top of it being the chunky part, and you're just gonna wanna smush it a bit. It almost looks like a balloon on a string right now. And just like with the last succulent, we're going to continue adding leaves and petals to this, each one slightly larger, until we can't fit them on this wire anymore. So you go ahead and roll it between both fingers, taper it off on one end, and then give it a little bit of a smush. And then just press it against your wire. You want them to look really bubbled and fat. Roll it up, taper it, and you give it a little smush. Now for this one, I wanted to keep it in groups of 3, but I didn't, and that's okay. Now we'll move on to the wired petals. So go ahead, again, just hook a few wires and then grab a bit of paste, put it over that hook, roll it up and tape it towards the bottom, and then give it a little smush and keep it nice and bubbly. You make as many of these as you want, each one slightly larger than the last. And the more you make, the bigger your succulent will be. Now we'll color our jelly bean one first. We're gonna pour some light green, light pink, and some fuchsia pink. So the way I'm going to color it is I'll go ahead and grab my jelly bean succulent parts, and I'm going to color light green the bottom 3/4. And so I just dab it on. I try not to streak it on. I just want to dab it and very lightly dust it towards the top and towards the bottom so it blends away. Then I grab some light pink, and on the top quarter, I dab it all around, and then I lightly dust it up and down so it blends into the green and it fades away at the top. I grab the fuchsia, and I want to color the tip of it, that blunt tip, a really dark pink. It's almost like a reddish on the flower, but I'm going to use a fuchsia pink because I think it looks prettier. And then I just blend everything down a bit more so it doesn't look segmented. And there you go. Just a little comparison of with color versus without. Next, for our Lowy one, I'm going to go ahead and dust it all with a little bit of the light pink, just to give it that dusty appearance that succulents get. Go everywhere, not really pressing it down, just very lightly dusting, and where it catches, it catches. Where it doesn't, that's okay. We'll come in with a fluffy brush and we'll just dust the rest out. And now I take the light green and I go on the insides and I color that just a very light green. It's not super noticeable. And then I grab a fuchsia and I just put it on the tips a little bit, just to add a little more depth. And for the individual petals, I'll go ahead and I'll do the inside green. It all has the same colors. I'm not very particular about which color comes first because I blend them all anyway. So for this one, I did the green first. I want more green towards the bottom than towards the top, but all of it has a little bit of a hue of green. And then I grab some pink and go over that. Go ahead and do the edges to accent them a bit. And then you just blend it all together. Grab a little bit of the fuchsia to get the edges. And now for the moonstone, I do, again, the base green. And then I grab my darker pink, my fuchsia, and once I'm done with the bottoms green, I'll take the fuchsia and I'll go all around the top half, trying to not get the tips. I want the tips to stay almost white. And if it ends up getting on the top, no worries. You can grab some white petal dust and just dab it on the top. I do that for some of them anyway because it looks more realistic to me. But try not to get the tops. Try to just go on the top half without getting the very tip of it. You can see it looks more bubbly and realistic. For the individual ones, I start with that dark pink up top. Sometimes it's lighter pink, sometimes it's darker pink. I want to give each of the petals, I don't want them to look all the same. So I just go here and there with whichever colors I have. And for this one, I colored the top, so I'm going to go ahead and dab some white on top and then just dust it. Give it that highlight with the white. We'll do this one more time with the pink. Add a little green on the bottom. And then some white at the very tip. So now we start the assembly. So go ahead and cut off a piece of floral tape and gather all of the little parts to your jelly bean succulent. So go ahead and grab the floral tape, give it a tug to activate the stickiness, and start grouping them. You can group them however you like. I like to do groups of 3 or 4 at a time just so that they don't become too much for me to grab. And I group them in these small bunches and then I just put them all together once they're on the cake or whatever it is that you'll be using them in. These are super easy. You can't really go wrong with the assembly for these. There you go. Now for the next one, the Lowy, you go ahead and grab each of the wired petals and bend it back just a bit. And then you start to assemble them just like you would the petals on a flower. So go in between the last row and then you start to tape it. I don't worry about taping it close to the base because this is all going to go into the cake. So I just want to tape them so that they don't fall out of place. And I roll, add a few more petals, going from smallest to largest, and then roll around, tape some more, and keep doing that until I run out of petals. And now for the last one, the moonstone, just like the previous one, you grab the center and start adding the individual succulent petals by bending them back a bit and then just finding a spot for them. These I kind of just clump together. I just find a spot for wherever it fits because they kind of bulge out and grow wherever they can. And I'm only making one clump of them, so I just put it wherever it fits from smallest to largest, and then I tape it together. Once you're all done assembling this, you can also go ahead and add a stem to it by adding some paste down the wire. And if you're going to do that, then I would go ahead and use white floral tape because the pink is such a light color. You don't want the dark green to stand out. But mine is going right into the cake, so I'm not worried about the dark green because it's not going to show. And that's it. Super cute. Now this is my little planter that I'm popping them in. It's actually a gum paste planter filled with cake and covered with a cookie dirt. And that's it, guys. That was super easy. Hopefully you guys make tons of sugar succulents, and if you do, tag me because I'd love to see them. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs